Hey y'all, it's Chris with Rockin Farm, and today we are going to be talking about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of onions. Before we get too far into that though, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and if you haven't already taken the time to do so, go check out rockin8farm.com. That's right, that's ROCKIN, the number 8, FARM.com. All right, y'all, we had a pretty lengthy video on Tuesday, so I'm going to try and keep this one short and sweet. So obviously the what is onions. Let's start with the who. Y'all, Dixondale Farms. That is my recommendation for onions. They do long day, short day, and medium day onions. They ship all over the country. If you're anywhere in the country, I recommend Dixondale. If you're in the South, I highly recommend Dixondale. And if you're in Texas, if you're not getting your onions from Dixondale, then I don't know what to tell you. Good pricing. Free shipping over any quantity that's actually worth getting. Great customer service, super fast shipping, and they're always there to answer a question, although they don't leave you with a whole lot of questions because they include a lot of material in with the onions as far as planting and care. So again, that's Dixondale Onions, located right here in Texas. Check them out. Like I said, if you order your onions now, you'll have them in a week. Like, they're fast. Dixondale is going to send you some instructions, and the first thing that it says on the instructions is to get these onions out of the box and get them spread out on something so they can get some air to them. Y'all, they are not joking when they say that. If you leave them in the box even a day or two, they start to get slimy. So just get them spread out, and you can get around to planting them whenever you get around to planting them. They will last a long time as long as they're spread out. Now, as you can see behind me here, I've got a couple of my beds and I have them in different stages. I left them like this so that I could shoot this video quickly and we don't have to sit there and you watch me plug onions into holes. So the two beds are at varying stages. This bed here is pretty much ready to go, and I'll explain it to you very briefly. Basically, where you can see the irrigation lines running, there was a trench dug there, like this one over here. And that's going to be your fertilizer trench. So it's a few inches deep, and you know, I don't plant my onions exactly like Dixondale said because I'm not planting onions in long straight rows in the ground, etc. I got raised beds. I have limited space. The soil expands readily for the onions, so they have plenty of room to do their bulbing action. So this is your fertilizer trench. And once you cover that fertilizer trench back up, you are going to put your irrigation on top of it. And then once you put once you cover it back up with dirt, you're planting your onions about 2 edges from the edge of the fertilizer trench. They ended up being about 6 to 8 inches from each other. And then if you'll notice, they're planted about 4 inches away from each other here. So that's really pretty much all there is to it. As far as onion depth, you want to make sure you're planting them about 1 inch deep. For me, I get kind of lucky. Basically, from my first knuckle here up to the tip of my finger is about 1 inch. So I can just stick my finger down in the ground and make a 1 inch hole. Another really good tool that I use all the time, a Sharpie. I mean, almost everybody keeps a Sharpie in the garden for writing on plant tags and stuff like that. Take a piece of masking tape and mask off 1 inch above the tip. And if it's 1 inch masking tape, now you have a tool that measures a 1 inch deep hole and a 2 inch deep hole if you just go all the way to the top of the masking tape. So go plug your holes in, drop your onion sets down in there, and call her good. If Dixondale says that it gives you 50 to 75 onion starts in a pack of onions, they promise 50 to 75. I have never had them have less than 75 in them. That's not to say it's not going to happen. As long as there's over 50, they lived up to their promise. But so this last time, I got 4 packs of this type of onion. This is the Texas Legend, which is a nice big sweet yellow onion. I planted 180 of them in the rows to grow into nice big sized onions. And then what I had left was about 120 of them, which I put in these 2 little skinny rows running right down here. These are planted extremely close together, and that's because I'm basically going to use these as spring onions. Once they start getting some height on them, I'll come through and I'll pull every other one as I want to chop up some onions to put in my eggs or put in my salad or whatever the case may be. That's going to allow the ones that are not getting pulled, every other one, to put some more size on them. So these could end up making it to full-size onions. But I'm not necessarily counting on it. They're planted on the inside of my arch here, which means that once plants start growing up over this arch, they're going to get some shade. But in theory, about the time the plants start getting tall enough to actually create shade, my onions are going to be coming out anyhow. And I'm not talking about early spring onions. I'm talking about full-term onions will be coming out. So we might get more onions out of these little guys that are planted way too close together too. But what I was starting to say earlier, in a bunch of onions, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll pull out all of the biggest, stockiest, hardiest, most root mass. I'll just get the biggest bulbs, and those are going to go in first. And then once I get all of my rows planted out, all of the little stringy ones that I have left are the ones that I'll do something like this with, plant for spring onions. Because if they die, they die. If they don't, they don't. I got my, 50 guaranteed onions out of all 4 packs. So I'm not that concerned about these little stringy ones, but I can almost guarantee you half of these, if not more, are going to end up going in my eggs and salads over the next several weeks. Over here is where we're going to put another variety in, and then we're going to put a third variety into an existing bed. But this bed I have to work a little bit, pull back some of the wood chips, add my compost, add new wood chips in. I'm actually going to do another video about spring garden prep. So I need to do the spring garden prep to this bed before I can plant it. What kind of fertilizer for onions? Well, it kind of depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to go with a chemical type fertilizer, then just make sure you've got a fertilizer that's got a nice high phosphorus ratio, like a 10-20-10, something like that. If you decide to go the organic route, most of your organic fertilizers are fairly low on their NPK ratios, and they're also fairly even on their NPK ratios. So I do 2 things in these trenches. The first thing I do is a good 4-4-4 organic fertilizer made by Dr. Earth. And then I add also to the trench a bone meal, which has a 4-12-0 NPK ratio. So that really bumps that phosphorus. Bulb plants, like whether it's flowering bulbs or bulbs that you eat like onions, they like that phosphorus. So you do need to boost that phosphorus. And since I choose not to go the artificial route, my personal choice, I don't hate on anybody that's growing their own food. However you want to grow your food, grow it. So you're either going to go with a 10, as I said, a 10-20-10 fertilizer, something that's high in phosphorus, or add bone meal to that organic fertilizer, and that'll boost that phosphorus up as well. All right, y'all, I'm going to edit this down and get this as short as I can. I wanted it to be a quick planting video for onions because it is onion season here in Central Texas. I hope y'all enjoyed. Don't forget to go visit the website. And until I see y'all again, this has been Chris with Rockin' Farm, and I want y'all to be happy and live healthy.